just to let you know that the session will be recorded, and we will keep all the videos with the course material in our share folder. So let's start. Just a second, yeah. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining. This is a CISSP exam preparation training. The purpose of this program is to let you pass the CISSP exam. Of course, you need to gain the knowledge, the skills, whatever it's needed, but my main objective is to let you pass the exam. And the reason we are doing that, because the CISSP exam will be changed by 2024, beginning of 2024, which gonna be a challenge in case you plan to take the exam next year. I don't think this is a good idea. Most probably, it will take time for people to understand the new change in the exam. And the reason the exam will change, because the ISO has been changed, and CISSP is well known that is mapped with ISO 27001 standard. So it's a very good idea to consider to take this exam this quarter, whatever is the remaining of the year. You still have time to get yourself ready for the exam and to pass the exam. CISSP is a very valuable certificate, but you need to understand that it needs some good preparation. It's not a hard exam. It just needs a good preparation. Also, it lets you be qualified for a specific field. So it's not like you can get the CISSP and then you will be recognized in different cybersecurity field. This is suitable for people who want to work inside information security management or governance or administrative security in different field. So you need to keep that in mind, because the exam is based on the mentality of a manager or of management, not a manager, but an information security management. So we are not just considering security, technical, we are considering cost effectiveness, compliance requirement. You need to think in this mentality. Today's session will be around 1 hour. It will not be that long. By the way, this training is around 2 months. I mean, we are talking about 8 weeks. First 2 weeks, it's going to be only 1 hour per session. And then once we are set, this is going to be around 2.5 hours per session. So by the end of the program, you will be ready to sit for the exam. Okay. I will tell you the plan, but today we're just going to plan for what exactly are we going to do. I will tell you everything related to the resources, how you should be preparing, because it's not just a training. Don't consider that you will be sitting today, watch the video, and then you will be ready for the exam. You're going to have to do some effort in the upcoming 2 months. It will not be that much, but each week you will be requested to read something and solve some exam practice question. And then in the next week, we will be talking about what are the confusion area in each domain. Okay. So first, let me go through the training outline, or not the training, the exam content. What exactly is the CISSP training? What going to be the material? What are the type of knowledge you need to have? And what kind of question you will get inside the exam? Let me see how many people joined before we start. Okay. So guys, before I start, I would like to hear from you briefly if any one of you guys are new to cybersecurity, in a sense that this is completely new to them. I know most of you, but still, if anyone is new to this field and he started by planning to take the CISSP exam, I would like to hear from him. Ahmed, Sajid, Yasser.
Good evening,
Rajiv,
Dr. Atif. Thank
good
you
evening.
for giving us the opportunity. Yeah, I have been working on the security domain and have a flair of cyber security as well. And looking into attaining the CISSP certification. So that's what probably I'll be focusing on. And
Good.
thanks for providing us the opportunity.
Most welcome, Sajid. Uh, Anyone else who want to elaborate about his background? Nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, if you are new to the field, it's fine. Okay, maybe you need to do some additional effort, but if you are into the security, you have basics knowledge, you have deep knowledge, is nice to share that. However, I'm not depending much on your background, but still, if someone need to elaborate about something in his background, this will be useful.
Hello, sir. This is Rajesh Kumar.
Yes, Rajesh.
I'm from the network operation background. Um, I have experience in installing the firewall and other stuff, but probably not on the completely on the cyber security or the information security space. Mostly, it's on the complete network operations background.
Excellent. Excellent. Sayed, you want to share something? Ahmed or Yasser?
Yeah, so I have experience more than 8 years on network security. So most of the CISSP domain I have worked, except the governance and risk management. But yeah, I have also have done the cybersecurity workshop with from InfoSec for TC. And also I am preparing for the exam. Also, I scheduled the exam for I think 27th of this month as well.
Great.
Thank
So
you.
you're going to take the exam this month, right?
Yes, scheduled. Yeah.
Okay. I may need to sit with you a couple of meetings before sitting for the exam just to give you some guidelines for the exam since you're going to take it this month anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else?
Thank you, Doctor, for your efforts. From my side, I have various different backgrounds from network, wireless, and security, digital forensic. For me, I went through the CISSP initial sessions a couple of times before, but due to many challenges, I didn't continue the program. Hopefully this time I would be able to complete and get the certificate before end of the year. Makes a big difference for me here.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Maybe if I would like to request a simple point, Doctor, if you are going to cover this point at some time, it would be great. I always have a confusion between PAM, identity access management, the difference between them. I don't know if this will be part of the sessions at some point, but if you have maybe a separate material or source where I can distinguish between them in an easy way, it would be perfect for me.
Access control is one of the domain of an identity management of CISSP. However, we are not diving that deep, just to let you clear about that. I do have some additional material about PAM, especially PAM, but the point here, and it's good that you raised that you know there is a well-known saying about the CISSP. It's one mile wide and 1 inch deep. Okay,
Yes.
which means it covers many topics, but just one line definition about each topic. So you should not expect in this curriculum, I'm telling you, our main purpose is to let you pass the exam, honestly speaking. And we're just going to highlight on what you need to know to be able to pass the exam. However, the resources are available, additional resources, anything that need to be shared with you guys. I will share with you real template, real documentation, products, and so on. But I saw people spending long time to get themselves ready for the CISSP. I saw someone who spent 4 months reading and studying encryption, while the amount of knowledge he need to have, it can only be finished in 1 day, because just memorizing some encryption protocol and the different type of encryption and so on. So it's fine, you know, studying and getting to know more about the technology and more about the domain is good, which is recommended. But the main purpose of this session is to let you pass the exam. I can consider this training successful if all of you were able to sit for the exam and pass from the first attempt. So this topic, we will go through it in a very high level. However, I will share with you some additional template with all of you and any other topic as well. But let's focus about passing the CISSP, because honestly speaking, having the CISSP logo in your CV will make a big difference. Only, I'm talking seriously. I saw that myself. Anyone who holds a certificate, for some reason, people or organization really trust that, yeah, this guy really know what he's doing. Okay, so the certificate has a big value, and we need to focus on that first, because the time is not that long. And I will push all of you to pass it before end of the year, because you know, you never know what will change and how it's going to look like. So let's talk about the certificate in a few minutes, and then let's talk about our plan, what domain we will cover, how we're going to study together, how this process will be going. CISSP, as I mentioned, it's an information security management certificate, which means it's talk about managing information security in different domains. It's not a technical certificate. Technical is around 30% of the certificate. But there is domain where we're going to talk about governance, where we're going to talk about policy and procedures, where we're going to talk about operational security. So the technical part of it is not that deep. Okay. And it's provided from IC2, which is a well-known organization. And the main point that people are trusting the certificate is that there isn't any workaround that you can follow to take the certificate. I mean, any other certificate, you can still get it without an exam. There is similar certificate for CISSP. There is CISSP, for example, from ISACA. There is certified information security analyst from CompTIA. There is different certificates that cover the same topics. But right now, and I believe all of you have a LinkedIn profile, and every day you are getting many message people offering you to get the certificate on behalf of you. Because right now, and especially after Corona, it's easy for you to get an exam or apply for a certificate and get the exam online. So there is a lot of training center and testing centers that is getting advantage from that. So if you want to take CISA exam, if you want to take CISSP exam, you can communicate with any of those vendors on East Asia or something like that, and they will take the exam on behalf of you. So right now, when we are getting CVs for any opportunity in our company, and we see that people are certified, it doesn't really reflect that people got the knowledge, except for the CISSP and PMP, by the way, you know, but PMP in project man, because it's well known that CISSP, you still have to take it physically, and they are very strict about any work around or taking work around. I remember during or after Corona, when our testing center was closed and all the vendor, ISACA, Easy Council, CompTIA, was allowing people to take the exam online, IC2 decided for 1 month that they will allow people to take the exam online. And they start selling their voucher online and said, okay, guys, you can book the exam online and take it online. And then it seems that everything has been misused. So do you know what IC2 did? They canceled all the exams that people take. And they send them a new voucher and tell them, you know, if you need to take the exam one more time, you can go to a testing center. So they are very strict when it comes to their reputations. That's why it's still maintaining the value of the certificate. Okay. So my point is, no one is holding a CISSP unless he got the basic foundation about cybersecurity, especially about information security management. And this is what we're gonna cover. So the CISSP, it's an exam that you can take in person view, and it consists of 8 different domains. Okay, and it has 125 questions, and you have to bypass. You have to pass 70% to be able to get certified or to be able to pass the exam. And the exam is working in a way that you will not complete the 125 questions. I mean, you're going to sit for the exam, start taking question. If after a while, I mean, let's assume that the first 80 question you answer them right, he will not complete the exam. He will tell you you passed already. You don't need to complete the exam. And vice versa. If you take amount of question and you failed already, he will not let you complete the exam. So you will see that the exam will stop suddenly and telling you you're fine. Now you passed and you're okay, or you didn't pass and so you will not have most of the time take the 125 question. This is important to understand. We have two different points that you need to consider. Taking the exam is different than taking the certificate. So when you want to sit for the exam, it's good. You go to the website, you book the exam, you select the testing center near to you, you go and take the exam. They will take your biometric picture, everything, you take the exam. Fine. No prerequisites there. Once you pass the exam, to be able to apply for the certificate, you're going to need to fulfill some requirement. For example, you need to have 5 years of experience in cybersecurity in different domain, or a college degree and 3 years of experience. What about if you don't have an experience? By the way, since you are certified, you are certified. But the point is getting the certificate. You can get the certificate now, or it may be delayed until you fulfill the requirement. But what if you don't have that much of experience? You can ask someone who holds the CISSP to endorse you. Okay, it's just like someone will confirm that you have the knowledge or you have the experience. What if you don't have a CISSP or someone who holds the CISSP to endorse you? There is another way for doing that, but I will keep that until you pass the exam. So what I'm trying to say, you don't have to worry. If you don't pass if you pass the exam and you have a challenge getting the certificate, no, we will guide you what needs to be done to be able to bypass that and get your certificate. The challenge is to pass the exam, not to get the certificate. So don't worry about the prerequisite from IC². There is different options that will let you eventually get the certificate. Okay. So as I was saying, is 125 question. You need to get 70%. I'm not really sure about, because the score sheet that you will get when you pass the exam will not explain exactly what is your score exactly. They will not tell you how much did you get. They will tell you if you pass or fail, but they will not tell you what is the percentage. So no one knows if they are really counting 700% the passing score or not. And it's taking only in English right now. There isn't any other language to be taking with. As I told you, we have 8 different domains in this training, and they have different amount of exam question in the exam. I mean, because the size of the domain even are different. I mean, you will notice that we have 3 domains from the 8 that is really big, and the remaining domains, the 5 domains, are really small. So the domains doesn't have the same size. So first one is related to security and risk management. This is one of the biggest domain, because here we're going to talk about basics of security. What is security, confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And I know that even if you heard this terminology and you feel that those are very well-known terminology, very basic terminology, you may get a question in the exam that is very tricky, asking about a solution. This is covering confidentiality or integrity and availability. And it may seem very obvious that this is only provide confidentiality, but it provides something else. So even the basics knowledge and the essential knowledge that you know, they can ask you about it in a very tricky way. But once you get used to it, it will not be a challenge. This domain, we will also cover the risk management. What is the risk essential, confidentiality, integrity, availability. What is governance? What is threat? What is risk? There is a lot of definitions there. And then we're going to move to risk management. Different kind of risk management, risk assessment, the standards that risk is following. We will cover the business continuity and disaster recovery. There is a lot of topics in this domain. That's why what I want you to do, I want you to prepare an Excel sheet where you should write all the topic of each domain. By the way, the document have all the topic, but the first thing that I will request you to do is to have an Excel sheet, and in each domain you're gonna write all the topic in the domain, and then you're gonna write the level of I don't know how to say it, but how comfortable you are with this domain. And you will not evaluate yourself. We will give you an exam that will let you evaluate if you cover this topic well or not. But you need to have some kind of tracking sheet. Don't keep it in your mind. You need to have a sheet like that, where if you're going to start with domain 1, you can write domain 1, and then you can write all the topic here. And then you're going to start each topic. Once you feel that you covered very well, you answered as much question as you can, you feel that I'm okay with this topic, then you can write that this has been completed. Okay, you have to track your progress. Okay, and I will show you all the topics for each domain. Second part, so this has around 15% question inside the exam. Okay, and it's a big domain actually, 15% of the question. Okay, second one is about asset security. And asset security is to identify the asset that you're going to protect. After all, you are responsible to protect the information. Okay, how can I identify the different kind of asset in the organization? I'm not talking about assets like tables and computer. I'm talking about information assets. Things like databases, configuration, data, customer information, PII, services that the organization provide. How to identify them, how to classify, what is the difference between classification and labeling, what are the classification used in government, and what are the classification used in private entity. So this will be about identifying the asset. Now, to be honest, some of the domain will need a lot of memorization. Okay, and this is important to understand because not all the questions are logic based. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So this is the asset management. Domain number 3 is quite big actually, which is the security architecture and engineering. And this has around 13% of the question. You cannot ignore any domain based on the number of questions. You have to give all the domain all the attentions. So the security architecture has a lot of theoretical topics. Okay, and don't worry guys, when I keep saying theoretical, we have a document that summarizes all the theoretical topics, and it will be quite easy for you guys to memorize that. Don't worry about that. But you know that security need to be evaluated somewhere. I mean, if tomorrow I get hired in a company, okay, and this company are using a specific type of computers, like Windows machine, and using a specific kind of database, and using, how can I evaluate their security? Is there any kind of standard? You know, is there anything that will have like a manual? If you are using Windows or IBM compatible machine, your security classification is that much or that much? You know, this is something common? Yes. There is a way for evaluating the security, some standard. You need to be familiar with that. Okay, not your own opinion in the security, but there is standard to follow. This will also include this domain, will include things like encryption. You know, encryption, it's not as boring as you may think. It's nice to know more. And encryption has a lot of application. You know, things related to digital certificate and digital signature, and hashing and encryption, symmetric and asymmetric. We will cover that in a way that is easy to understand because some people really don't feel comfortable about the subject. So a lot of topics that you're going to need to memorize for the exam in this domain, but we will take it in a realistic way, and we will focus about how you will get those topics inside an exam question. Okay. Communications and network, domain number 4, and this is also 13%, and also it's a big domain. Domain 1 and 3 and 4, this is where most of your effort will be gone. This is everything related to the network and communication, starting from the OSI model, TCP/IP, all network protocol, LAN protocol, WAN protocols. A lot of memorization is there. If you are not from a network background, don't worry. As I told you, it's all about one line understanding, or have couple of line explanation about a topic or a protocol. This is how deep you need to understand. It's not that deep, by the way, and this is a good advantage. Okay, so it's gonna focus about everything on network from scratch till all kind of network, including IoT and SCADA system and so on, but in a very high level. Then we have identity and access management, and this is what Yasser was asking about. Everything related to access control. And access control is the first layer of protection in any organization. It's different layer, or what we called I and AAA: identification, authentication, authorization, accounting, and each model that we are using, in which case we should use 2 authentication factor. In each case we should use a biometric instead of a password. In which case we should use what we call MAC access control or DAC access control or role-based access control. There is a lot of discussions there. We will be talking about PAN. We will be talking about digital right management, but talking for the purpose of the exam. What is this technology and how it can be used and what kind of question we will get. However, I will share with you some of the real resources that may help you on that. Okay. Security assessment and testing. This will cover things like vulnerability management and different way for testing the security and assessment. This is a very small module, 12%, but as a topic is very small module. Security operation. This cover everything that we are doing daily in security, like antivirus management, like backup, like documentation, change management, the operations that we are doing in security, and in each case what exactly we should use. And then software development, and this is one of my domains that I really don't like, because I didn't came from development background, and I had to study the different kind of development and different kind of programming models and so on. So for me, I suffered while I did that. So I will share with you whatever I know about this domain. But definitely, if you are from security development background, this will be helpful for you. So those are the different domains that we will cover. And as I told you, consider it's 1 mile wide and 1 inch deep. Too many topics, but each topic is going to be 1 inch deep. You just need to have a brief understanding. So this is, you lost the sharing, right? This is 8 domains that we will cover in this training in 2 months or 8 weeks, okay? But again, the way the program will work, I will explain the topic in a very high level, and then you're gonna have to read it or watch the videos that I will share with you, and then answer the question. And the next session, I will tell you the tricky part that you should expect inside the exam. So it's not that we're going to waste the 8 months talking about topics that you can see in videos. I will share with you the CISSP training, but I will focus about explaining the topics that you need to understand, or maybe it has a confusion, taking questions together related to this topic. So it's going to be done in a specific way, which will guarantee that effort will be done from both sides. Any questions so far before moving to the type of question inside the exam?
So,
Okay.
this is Rajesh here.
Yes, sir.
You said that we have to go for the exam before this year end because the exam modules might change or get
Yes.
revised.
Yes.
So how much time we should dedicate ourselves per day to cover this within this 3 months time? Is it enough time there for within 3 months we'll be able to cover all the topics? We'll be able to read the book and prepare for the exam, sir?
Yes. I can tell you, you can take this training, and after the training with 1 month, with 1 week, you're going to be ready. You just need to dedicate 1 hour per day. That's it. I don't need more than 1 hour per day. Okay, which I think is doable. If you missed 1 day on weekend, you can take a couple of hours or something. But I think if we work in parallel, because I will not plan that you will take the training and then start studying and then start planning for the exam. Okay, we're going to do that in parallel. We are taking the training and getting ourselves ready, raising question. We're going to have a community if anyone is facing a problem. But it has to be done in parallel. And believe me, this is a very good opportunity. Okay, I'll be available, I'll support. But to be honest, you're going to have to do effort from your side. I'm not talking too much. I'm just talking 1 hour per day, which I think is doable, right? So 1 hour,
Yes, sir.
because the thing about the CISSP, you need to study 30% and solve question 70%. Most of your effort will be doing exam practice question because the knowledge itself is not that deep. You can finish that in 3-4 days. But the problem is you study as much as you study, you go for exam, you check a question, you answer them right because it's tricky. So if we're going to divide our time, 30% of the studying of the time will be studying, watching video or reading book, 30%. 70% will be practicing exam questions because you will take the knowledge from the exam question, not from the studying itself. Okay, guys. This URL will have all the topics that will be covered in each domain. I mean, I will send this through the chat. Okay, and this is what I want you to write inside your Excel sheet. So if you check number 1, those are the topics that will be covered. So you have to break them down inside an Excel sheet to be able to understand, did I cover the scope topics? Did I cover this topic? So for each one of them, you have to track your progress. This is exactly what needs to be covered. Okay. Let me share the link over the chat. This is IC Square official website. Okay. So this is a brief about the outline. Now let's talk about the type of questions and where is the challenging part in the type of question. Okay. We have around 4 types of exam question inside the CISSP. Okay. First one is scenario based. Okay. So the first type of exam is say the scenario based question are the question that you will decide based on your experience because they are expecting that you have 5 years of experience. So it's about the decisions that you are taking based on your experience. Okay, and usually people who already have a good technical background and just sit for the exam without taking the CIS, because I know many people who got like 10 years of experience in security, but technical security, and they sit for the exam, they will always fail due to this kind of questions because they are thinking technically, not management. Okay, this is always a confusion. What do I mean by that? Okay, for example, when you get a question about implementing a specific security control, you need to purchase an antivirus for your company or decide you are not purchasing but suggesting an antivirus for your company, and you have an antivirus solution for your company that has a lot of features and it has an AI and he can detect different kind of ransomware, but the cost of this one is 100,000, and you have another antivirus that is cheaper but doesn't have that much of feature. He will not give you the questions that's straightforward, but this will be the idea behind the question. Okay, what should you select? If you came from a technical background, okay, you will always feel that getting something that has a lot of feature is really a good approach. I mean, this is the right decision. Let me get the one that has all kind of feature. But if you are from a management background, you will say, no, let me check the effectiveness of the cost. I cannot purchase $100,000 product to protect a product that worth 10,000, right? This is the idea behind the scenario based, that you need to evaluate based on different factors, based on compliance. You want to implement something on the cloud, but what if the cloud is not permitted where you are located? What if against the government compliance? As a government, you should not store sensitive government information on the cloud. So management don't think about the technicality only or the functionality only. There is many factors to decide from. And once you get used to this kind of questions, it will not be a challenge for you, because it's just going to change your mindset when it comes to analyzing a scenario and deciding about an action to be taken. Okay, so this is the first type of questions. Okay, and I don't think this is really a challenge. It just, you know, need to have some kind of change of mindset. You are thinking in a different way. Don't think about the quality of the product, think about the cost effectiveness. This is always a point. I saw many questions where they ask directly, what should you consider? The functionality, the cost effectiveness, and you have to select cost effectiveness. Okay. The second type of question is related to standard. And standards gonna need some memorization, but the good thing that it's already available somewhere where you have to memorize them, and that's it. And this is, you know, it's not a knowledge based, you know what I mean? It's not something to consider or think about it. For example, they will ask you, what is the, of course, they are always referring to NIST standard. So you will see in a lot of scenarios, they are referring to NIST standards. Stand for National Institute for Standard and Technology. And this is from where we are getting most of our standard. You can even go to their website, and it's something that we always refer to. Okay. It's a government website, nist.gov. And whenever we are looking for a specific standard, we will always go to NIST. If I need to know what are the best standard in cybersecurity, I'm sorry, in physical security, what should be the type of surveillance cams that they should use? What should be the length of each fences? From where can I get this information? From NIST. If I need to know the best practice for backup, how frequently should I take it? Things like that. So NIST, most of the standard came from there. Okay, so the standard always have a publication number. Okay, so for example, what is the NIST standard for risk management? It's, for example, 800, NIST 837 or 32, or so you're gonna need to memorize that. There is around 12 NIST publication numbers that you're gonna need to memorize. Standards that explain what is the best process in business continuity, in log management, in physical security. So I will give you a list that include those 12, and you're gonna have to memorize it. Nothing to be explained that. If they ask you about what is the standard publication for this specific activity, and they will give you 4 numbers, you have to select the right one. Okay. Also, you may find 1 or 2 questions asking about specific standard. Like they will give you some worldwide standard, things like COBIT or standard related to service management. And there isn't any place where you can find that. And in the exam practice question that I will share with you, If you find a question about standards that you never heard about it, take a note about it. You need to have your own notes for the exam. Very, very important, because during the exam practice question, there are going to be a lot of points that was not covered inside the book. They're going to be like attack names that you never heard about it, or the standards that you never heard about it. You have to take a note about it and keep it in your study notes. Everyone who planned and sit for the exam has his own study notes. Whatever is inside the book is fine, but whatever you need to keep it in your mind, because you need to read it one night before the exam, you have to have your own document where you are taking this kind of notes. Okay. So NEST standard number and any other standard, you're going to have to take a note about them. And I will share with you what I collected when I took the exam 10 years back. And I'm still sharing that with my student, and it's still working fine. Okay. The third type of question is also same type, which will be definitions. Need for memorization. Okay, nothing to be done in that. For example, he will ask you, what is the key for this kind of encryption? 512, 125, 240, 1024. What is the encryption type used on mobile app? What is this kind of questions that there isn't any like thinking about it. It's right, black or white, you know it or not. Okay. Also, there is a lot of questions related to definition, especially in the network and encryption. But one more time, the good thing that we have a document that explain or that summarize all those definitions. And honestly speaking, I saw people reading only this document and passing the exam, but I don't suggest 100% to do that. It's very risky. But they summarize everything in one document, which I will share with you. And you have all the standard definitions, this kind of question where you can read them and literally memorize them for the exam. Because, you know, if every week you go through them, it shouldn't be a problem. Okay. Question or number 4 is the formula. There are going to be some questions where they will ask you about still the cost effective. They will give you a scenario and they will tell you how much should we spend to protect those assets. And you need to evaluate the asset value. You need to evaluate the risk. What will be the damage in case the risk? I'm sorry, what will be the damage in case this problem happen, and decide how much you should spend. There is a formula to calculate that. Spending in security is not blindly. It's not like I spent 100,000. It has to be calculated. How much do we own those assets? How much it worth? How much damage or how much we're going to lose in case of specific threat will happen? And accordingly, how much should I spend to prevent this problem? So there's going to be some question related to this formula. Sometimes you're going to have to calculate the formula and end up with a number. Or sometimes they will give you the scenario and tell you the company spends that much money, and you're going to have to reply back telling them it was cost effective or not. Okay. So we have this kind of questions as well. There is other questions related to steps. You know, they will tell you if you are doing a disaster recovery plan, what should be the first step. Sometimes they will tell you what should be the third step to do that. So you need to memorize the order of something. So it's well known the type of questions exam. But what I can tell you is that it's not really hard to pass. Okay, if you understand the tricks behind it and you adjust your time in a good way, 100% you will pass it from the first time. Okay, and the idea here is to spend, as I told you, most of your time going through exam practice question, because this is the real challenge. So knowledge, very, very straightforward. You read the definition about something, that's it. But how the exam or how the question will come, this is usually what we are facing or what we need to practice. So those are the 4 different kind of exam practice question, and you're gonna need to have your own notes, and we're gonna start practicing domain by domain. But I will focus more. Gentlemen, if you can mute your mic, please. Let me do it from my side. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Adrian, your mic is on. Could you please mute it? Thank you. So those are the different kind of questions that you will face inside the exam. And this is what I'm gonna show you how to bypass them. I will show you what you need to do for the scenario based. I will not show you by telling you. We will practice question together. I will share with you whatever include all the definitions that you need to have to bypass, to memorize all the things that will have standard, will have definition. I will share with you the formulas that we are using to calculate everything related to risk and so on, and show you different kind of examples so you will be comfortable with this topic. This is the type of exam practice question, okay, or exam question. What are we going to, let me just, okay. What material are we going to have, okay? Now, for the material, I will share with you a lot of material, but it's not about the amount of material you have, because sometimes having a lot of material will let you overwhelm, and you don't know which material you need to study or what need to be studied and so on. So I will share with you everything related to the CISSP exam, but I just want to highlight what exactly are we going to have. We will have a set of books, and a set of books is not because I want you to read all of the books. I will give you one book as a reference, which is the smaller one, okay? Why I'm sharing a lot of books? Because sometimes you may find a topic in one book that is not clear enough. You want to read more about it. It's okay. You want to use any other book is fine. You want to watch a YouTube video is fine. You want to watch my own course about it is fine. But I will suggest one book to be your main reference. Okay, and this is the book, and I feel that this is a very basic book that you can only go through the basic definition from. Okay, now keep in mind that not necessarily that you have to go through the book. Some people don't really like to read that much. They can watch the videos. It's up to you from where you can get the source of reading. So you go topic by topic, but in a very high level. You don't dive deep in any topic. Topic by topic, just read the definition and spend 30% of your time reading about the topic. Don't spend too much time, okay? Don't go to books that explain the topic in a very, very deep way. There is a book for Sean Harris, All-in-One. Sean Harris is one of the most common or most well-known authors who wrote about CISSP. She have a lot of videos. She passed away a few years back, but she's taking the topic in a very, very deep way. You can spend 1 year reading her book, you know. You don't need that much of knowledge to pass the exam. So you have the book. And for people who are not really into reading books, I kept also the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation for the same book. So if you want to read from the slide, it's fine. If you want to read from the book, it's fine. If you want to watch the videos, is also fine. Any source from where you can go through the topic. Some of them you are already aware of, is fine. Go through it one more time. Some of them is new to you, just read them, but you have to cover all of them in a very high level. Okay. Second source is the sunflower. This is extremely important, guys. Okay. Sunflower is where all the definition and standard and steps are summarized. Okay, this document that is around 24 pages are literally your pass to your way to pass the CISSP exam. It includes everything that you need to be aware of. It includes all the definition. And as you can see, one line for each definition. This is how deep you need to understand about each topic. Okay. All the definitions, especially topic like security architecture, like network, encryption, it's divided domain by domain, as you can see on the left side. And in each domain, they will give you all the points that you need to be aware of. Literally, you're going to need to memorize it before the exam. The attacks, the type of protocols, the definitions. And sometimes you will even find some points that they are highlighting because it's an exam topics. Whenever you find that, they put something underlined or in bold, it means this could be an exam question, or it's important to know that because it's related to the exam. So if you check people who took the CISSP exam, this document was always a way to let them pass the exam because it summarized everything, okay? Especially the tough topics, especially the topics that have definitions or have tricky part inside the exam. So I will also, whenever we finish a module, I will go through the document and I will highlight on the point that you need to keep in mind for the exam, okay? So it's extremely, extremely important. But we have one challenge in the sunflower, okay? The challenge is sunflower used to have two different versions, okay? As you can see in our share folder, we have two different sunflower. This one, CISSP summary, and this was the first version, and this is the second version. When they created the sunflower the first time, it was very, very well organized and very, very into the point. I mean, I know people, I told you, who only study the sunflower, which I don't recommend. It's very risky. But it was very organized. But this was for the previous CISSP version. CISSP before 2015 was 10 domains, not 8, right? So it was for the previous version. When they renew the CISSP, it become 8 domains. They combine few domains together and they add new topics, okay? So still the same topics are available, but it has been changed in order. A new topic has been covered, like virtualization, cloud security. This was not in the old version. So 2 new people created the sunflower, but it's completely different than the previous one. It's a big mess, okay? So it was not that organized, and accordingly, it's not really handy, the new version. So according to that, I have an old version, which is very organized, very helpful, but it's not mapped with the new curriculum. And I have a new version that is not really helpful. So what I suggest is that you study from the old version, you map it to the new curriculum, and you study from the old version. And whatever topics is not covered in the old version, this is the only topics that you will cover from the new version. Are you getting that, guy? I will guide you. I will tell you what needs to be studied from old, but your main one will be always the old version. The new version will be only used for topics that is not inside the old version. Little bit tricky, but this is how it's gonna work. Okay, guys? Okay. So this is regarding the material. Any questions so far? Now, I do have small problems, and I just want your feedback about it, because your training has been confused with another training. Okay. So I didn't want to reschedule. I wanted to start today as promised. And what I can do, I can start today, and next station only 1 hour. And then after that, after next session, our session will be 2.5 hours. Or we can reschedule and start our session the Saturday 2.5 hours, which will be 16th of September. So what do you suggest? I prefer to keep it this way. We took a session today, it was only 1 hour. We will take a session on 9, and then on 16, we're gonna start working in 2.5 sessions. So we're gonna have one session 1 hour and one session 2.5 hours. Is this okay with you guys?
Yeah, looks okay to me, Dr. Atul.
Okay for me.
Yes, sir. Okay for me.
Don't worry, we will finish on time and you will be ready on time. Nothing will be changed. But I don't like to reschedule, because if you're going to reschedule, it means the course will be delayed. So I prefer to take it like that. We will have 1 hour this session, because it's actually my mistake. I scheduled 2 workshops in the same time. So this session, next session is going to be 1 hour, but the 16 it will be 2.5 hours, and still the topics are covered in ways that we will be finishing on time, so we'll not have any problem. I forget to tell you that I will share with you before next time the exam practice question, and this is the main or the core of our training. Okay, the exam practice question, this is what you need to spend most of your time doing it. Take notes about it, think about it, because this is what will let you pass the exam, not the knowledge itself. Knowledge really is quite easy. If you read the book, it will not take 2-3 days. But the exam practice questions, this is what you will really need to be ready for the exam. And we did that in a very professional way. I mean, I'm not doing exam practice question once you finish the training. We are taking domain by domain. So once we finish the domain, I will give you the exam practice question for it. And you're going to have to pass 80% to say that, yes, I'm good with this domain and I can move to the next domain. So we have a plan that is domain-based that will let us, once we finish, we will take 6 final exams. And if you pass those exams, you are 100% ready to sit for the exam. So we have a plan. I will send you the plan by email by tomorrow, but this is how it's going to work. Okay, guys? Okay. Any question for today? Any doubts? Any expectation?
Just one
Dr.
question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yes. Yes, Masaro.
I have a question. I mean, directly not related to this thing. So this is for the exam itself, but like some of us are coming from different backgrounds, right? So like one is the certification itself and another one is the actually doing the work. So if I take the cybersecurity specialist workshop, so whenever I am hired, like let's say I get the certification and I'm hired in like a company, and then they tell me to actually do some work, right? Like coming up with like risk assessment or some register or something, SS register. So if I do that workshop, I will be able to actually do that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
This actually will not the topic of the exam preparation. CISSP, we will not focus on gaining you the skills. We are focusing on let you pass the exam. Cybersecurity specialists, this is what we are doing.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question, guys? Okay. Thank you so much and see you next Saturday.